there was a lot of points in the movie where we were actually very frustrated with each other, and it culminated in that fight scene being the very last thing that we filmed. And not that we were like fucking hated each other, but there was definitely like, all right, let's get this out of our system because just when you're in that close of a artistic space with somebody making something like this for so long, of course you're going to, have tension simmering underneath. So
I showed it to the theaters. I sat down with AMC, Regal, cinema, everybody, and Marcus Cinemas, and they're like, we love it. If it says if your name's on it and it's this, like we can put this out. Let's go for it.
This movie seemed to be like a very difficult process to put together for that time, even though it's only you and Matt for the most part and a lot of practical effects. When did you decide to take it on, and how did you know Matt was the right fit?
well, Matt's been a good friend of mine for like 10 years, maybe longer. We've collaborated on a lot of movies. He produced my movie Bliss. He was in Christmas Money Christmas, and he's predominantly an actor, but he hasn't been getting, he's kind of delved into editing. But I always wanted to give him like a meaty role, something that I know that he can sink his teeth into because he is such a good on-screen talent. And when I started putting this movie together, because of the way that we were making the movie, and I knew it was going to be like a really taxing thing, and I thought it was going to take like 6 months, not 4 years, but somebody who was going to be on board for that 6 months. So I wrote it with me and Matt in mind. And because of the friendship angle, like we were able to, kind of play off of our history together. And then also, interestingly enough, because of, I guess, the tension that came with how long the movie kept going, and sometimes like there was a lot of points in the movie where we were actually very frustrated with each other, and it culminated in that fight scene being the very last thing that we filmed. And not that we were like fucking hated each other, but there was definitely like, all right, let's get this out of our system because just when you're in that close of a artistic space with somebody making something like this for so long, of course you're going to have tension simmering underneath. So there's almost like an actual, not biographical element, but kind of an organic, realistic element that came from me and Matt being in the movie and being friends like this, and it's just accentuated, obviously, and for the screen.
Really, yeah, it really works so well. And now, Eli, I want to jump in with you. How did you discover this movie? I know you guys are friends, but like, when did you first watch this movie, and what was your reaction to it?
Well, it was actually Ty West told me about it. When I kind of announced the horror section and that I was going to be releasing my own movies through Iconic and putting them theatrical, unrated, just like total, balls to the wall horror movies. Ty said, "Hey, have you seen Joe's new movie?" He goes, "It might be right for your company." And I was like, "Well, I didn't even think I'd be acquiring movies. It was really just for me to produce and release, stuff that I want to, make from scratch." And he said, no, he goes, he made a movie that's like an old school Peter Jackson movie. He shot it on film. It's like early Sam Raimi. He goes, it's totally crazy, all practical effects, but he shot it on 16 and like he spent years making this movie, like 4 years of shooting. I was like, okay, so I reached out to Joe. I was like, hey man, what's happening with your movies? Like, I don't know. There's some like bad offers. The studios are kind of afraid of it. I was like, well, send it to me. And I took a look at it and I was so blown away. It's so rare that you watch something that you look at it and go, how the fuck did they do that? Like I genuinely didn't know how he did half the stuff in the movie. It was so insane. It's the wettest horror movie I've seen in years. It's like in like the top two or three most wet, bloody, gory movies of all time. And I just couldn't believe it. So I called Joe and I just started hitting him with all these questions. I'm like, how did you do that shot going up to the ceiling? How did you do this one? He's like, well, man, we drilled eyelets and then I strapped the camera to me. My friends ran down the hallway. And I'm like, were you running a real chainsaw? He goes, yeah, no, I got like a battery powered chainsaw and we're just cutting off limbs. And I'm like, didn't your neighbors complain? He goes, no, never once. I was like, how's that possible? He's like, man, we've been partying in that apartment for a number of years, so they didn't even notice. Like, I mean, years, and I was like, that fight scene is insane. He's like, yeah, well, we spent, 4.5 months shooting it. So it's the kind of movie that like it's like Eraserhead or Evil Dead that like it's truly made by a lunatic. And I mean that is the highest compliment. But Joe is such a skilled director that he pulled off stuff that I've never seen before. I was like, the last shot of the movie. I've never seen that in a movie. There's so many things. I was like, I can't believe what I'm watching. You cannot, describing it doesn't do it justice. And I said, hey man, I'm about to go to CinemaCon next week. Why don't you let's make a deal right now. I can put this thing in, let me see if I can get this thing in 1,500 theaters. And let's do like a wide unrated release. Like imagine if you were like some, teenager and you just went to the movies thinking it was like Final Destination or Sinners and Jimmy and Stiggs comes on and it's this like reanimator style, like over the top splatter fest. Like your head would explode. So I showed it to the theaters. I sat down with AMC, Regal, cinema, everybody, and Marcus Cinemas, and they're like, we love it. If your name's on it and it's this, like we can put this out. Let's go for it. Like fans are looking for another experience, even though the movie's not like Terrifier, they want another experience like that. And I always say with movies like this, you can pirate the movie, but you cannot pirate that experience. It's like going to Coachella, that you have to be there. And kids want that, horror fans want that badge of honor of discovering something and championing something and going, man, I was there when we saw it. So we just thought, you know what? I wasn't planning on releasing another movie until my first film, Ice Cream Man, but we thought this is it. Like it's too good of a movie. I love Joe as a filmmaker. This is his moment to really break out mainstream. And we thought like, what the hell? Let's just go for it. So we're putting it out there.
Well deserved too. I mean, and you're right. It's the wettest movie I've seen in a long time. Uh, Dude, okay, Joe, I'm going to jump back with you because here's the thing. Eli says it right. You're watching this movie and you're like, how the fuck did you do that? How did you do that? It's so brilliant to watch. But you also do something that a lot of horror movies don't do. You have characters that talk like people and act like people and aren't like, oh, let's just do something dumb because I'm a bimbo. There's real. I've seen it with your earlier work, and with this, it was just fucking natural and beautiful. How much time do you spend on the script as well? Because this is good stuff.
It probably took me, I don't know, 3 months to write the initial script, but then we were kind of evolving it there. But my type of thing is, I have a very specific personality, and the people I hang out with have very specific personalities, and the circles that I, inhabit have very specific personalities, and I don't feel like they're put on screen very often. And like you said, I feel like, a lot of times people are just kind of writing stock characters, like, the Breakfast Club works because there's all these different personalities in one room because they were all there. But you can't have a movie where it's like there is like and I always feel like that's weird. So and I don't know those people, so I can't write those people naturalistic. I write the people that I know. I know fucking party hound metalheads. I know fucking scumbag metalheads. Like I'm happily a scumbag metalhead horror fan. So I want to write that and put that on screen because that's the thing that I know best. And it's always funny. A lot of the reviews are for my movies are always kind of split. Where like half the people are like, who the fuck is big? People don't fucking act like this. People don't fucking talk like this. And it'll be somebody like, you ain't ever hung out with me and my friends, man. And they're like, fuck you, you and your friend. And it's like, well, there actually are people like this, I guess that, it's such a super. So I think the naturalistic aspect comes from that because I'm just 100% putting what I know on screen and what I hear in conversations that I have and, the seeds of personality that I see around me. And I'm always kind of taking that in and, the environments that my movies are set in are the environments that I inhabit usually the type of things that I inhabit the type of situations that I inhabit so after my first couple of movies I think that I kind of evolved into what I'm going to put a point of view on screen that nobody else can. I'm going to show the type of people that I am. And like, that's what I want to see on screen. Whether some people like it or hate it, there's going to be people who really, really fucking connect to it because
Mhm.
there are other people out there like that. So I feel like that's kind of where it comes from. And then on this, me and Matt are such good friends that, some of that dialogue, there are scenes of dialogue that are almost verbatim, but then there's other scenes of dialogue where there's not a word that's said in a scene that was in the script because we kind of just not improv, but we would work the scene. And it's like, well, this feels more natural. And just as friends and creators and actors, we're able to build that up and make it feel more of a naturalistic, uh, into more of a naturalistic place. And because of our relationship, you have basically 10, 15 years of pre production of us being friends who are creators. Hanging out in my actual apartment that we shot in. So it's almost like 10 years of prep of getting to that point. So yeah, I write scumbags because I know scumbags.
Also, Joe, I think what Joe does so well is makes them relatable and fun. The movie is called Jimmy and Stiggs. It's not like aliens, bladder, chainsaw, but it's like it's about these two guys. And so even if you're not a metalhead, you can really relate to the friendship and to arguing with your friends. And even though it's this heightened version, like this insane, knockdown, drag out, they live fight that Joe spent 5 months shooting, which is just nuts. Like you can't replicate what these guys did because you have to spend years doing it. They're such good actors because they don't look like they're acting. And
Yeah.
when you think about the fact that they had to maintain that over the course of 4 years of active shooting, it's absolutely remarkable. I think they're really, and that's what makes the movie work, I think, is that the characters are so fun and likable. And even when they're at each other's throats, it's all kind of stuff that anyone who's had a best friend like that, you've been through those kinds of moments together.
Yeah.
They just happen to be, fighting aliens with a chainsaw.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I also here's the thing, Eli. I feel like that's part of your nature as well. That's you've always written people.
Yeah, I try to write real. I don't judge the characters. Quentin taught me that. He's like, you're not the judge of the characters. Let the characters be the characters. Let them be honest, whether they say shit you agree with or not. Like, it's not your place to tell them what to think. The characters have to be honest. If this person's a dickhead, they're a dickhead. Let them be that. And that's what I remember from movies was like, there wasn't this bullshit of testing and going, oh, this person was the least liked. It's like, yeah, they're the asshole. You're not supposed to like them. Like, that the characters were honest and you didn't agree with them and they said shit that like I don't necessarily agree with. So it's interesting how people will say, well, you're that guy or you're the frat guy or you're this. I'm never like the nice shy guy. I'm always like they ever sort of project their things onto you, but I try to have dialogue in movies that doesn't sound like dialogue. And that was when I saw Reservoir Dogs and I was like, oh yeah, they're talking about TV shows from the 70s. And Quentin's like, yeah, people don't sit around and talk about the plot. They talk about like kind of bullshit. And so that's what makes them real is it's like you can't have too much of that, but you want the characters to feel like I love a very naturalistic style of acting in
Mhm.
my films and I don't mind letting the audience get to know the characters and putting them through a dialogue scene if it sort of puts you at ease, lets your guard down. And I loved, Joe's whole opening conversations and his phone calls and his things, and then the way he talks to Jimmy when they show up. And then there's that scene when they kill the first alien. They're in the bathroom together and they're sort of laughing about like, oh no, I'm going to be the handsome one who survives in the third act. And no, you're the ugly one that gets killed. Like all that kind of stuff. It's really, I just thought that the way the movie flowed, it's really the right balance of like dialogue, action, horror, and just like unhinged insanity. But you want people to care about them when shit goes sideways.
Yeah, and look, Eli, I know that you're a film, your shit. You know your shit really well. And I was thinking, watching this movie after, I was remembering when I was a kid, you had to go to the video store to rent I Spit on Your Grave, God, Cannibal Holocaust, anything, Final Exam, whatever. Now, but you're doing something that I don't think really, I guess Terrifier introduced, but this is something big. You're
It's a new thing.
involving, yeah, I mean, how difficult is this and how this is a lot of work you're putting on yourself, my friend.
Well, it is, but I also, for me, I looked at where my career was and I looked at where the movie industry is going and I looked at this kind of opening for Terrifier. I'm like, people are completely ignoring this audience. Yes, we're getting great horror movies. Yes, you're getting Sinners. Yes, you're getting Final Destination, but there is a lane for these movies and it's not just streaming. There are movies that I watch. I'm like, why wasn't this in theaters? And this is the kind of movie that was like that VHS tape, like when someone gave me a tape of Reanimator and they're like, "Oh, this is the sickest thing." You just want to pass it off to all your friends, or like when you get a tape of Evil Dead and you're like, "Whoa, what the fuck is that?" So, now with iconic events and setting up the horror section where I could have the fans be part owners in the company, but I thought, fuck it, I want to put these movies in like at least if you put this movie in 1,200 to 1,500 or 2,000 screens, then it's a legit movie. Then it has a shot at being a real title that can be a franchise. Because I think that, not that movies that go to streaming aren't real movies, but I feel like they should have been seen in a theater because, like I said, you can pirate the movie, but you cannot pirate the adrenaline rush. And that's what this is all about. These like so what I thought is, it's a lot of work. I've been putting it together for over a year and a half of like figuring out how to do this and going to CinemaCon and talking with the theater owners, going like, how can I get filmmakers like Joe who deserve to be on the big screen, the big stage, and use a platform where I'm not just making my own movies and releasing them, but I can find other gems and put them out there because people trust my taste, from history of horror and from my movies. And there are other titles that have come since that we're going to be announcing soon
Oh,
that are like incredible movies and exactly like totally like truly independent. Like when I watch the Spirit Awards and they're like, okay, an independent movie is a movie made under $20 million. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like the independent world that I come from are like people are going to lose their house and be financially ruined if the movie doesn't work. That was the case on Cabin Fever. And like that's Joe. Like he's shooting a movie for $200,000 and he runs out of money. He's like dead broken in credit card debt, and then he just makes more money and then spends it more on the movie buying film stock. Like because there's no other way. Like that to me is a true indie, is a true artist. He like lives it, he walks the walk, and those are the people that I want to support. They're like, there's an authenticity when you watch this. You're like, yeah, this is made by someone who is not only like a super fan, but is a super skilled filmmaker. And and other people respond to it. Like there's one night where he's shooting, chainsawing limbs, and the entire crew were just horror movie directors. Because his crew was so burned out after 3.5 years, it was other directors who were like, "Yeah, we'll stay up all night, like for a whole week." Like you can tell about that, Joe's. It was all directors crewing the movie because they just want to be there pumping the blood.
yeah, Joe, expand on this. This is amazing.
Yeah, like as we got closer to the end, and that's when we were doing one of the final scenes we did was the fight between me and Matt, and then me chainsawing my limbs off, and I just started running out of people to call, and it started like during the strikes because nobody was working, and I was like, well, you guys aren't working, you got nothing to do, and then a couple people would come, and then like, then more people would come, and then more people, and then there was a point where the only people there. I had like people, and these are all people who make far bigger movies than I do. We've got Kevin Kulchev, we've got Jason Eisner, Nick McCarthy, Josh Miller, who wrote the Sonic movies, Adam Egypt Mortimer, and they're like pumping blood. They're like, "How does this fire extinguisher work?" I'm walking around with the camera on me, and I'm like showing them how the fire extinguisher works. You fill this up, and then I'm like, "Here's you got to flick this light over here," and we're just doing it. They're all covered in blood, and they're fucking loving. We're blasting music, we're fucking drinking beers, we're just, and they're like fucking running. And then afterwards, they're like, "All right, man, that was fuck. I want to do a movie like this." I'm like, you say that, but you don't want to do a movie like this, homie. Uh, it's like you guys all got way nicer houses than me. We should totally go shoot a movie in your house and blow it apart. I'll be there. But
Yeah,
it was,
with your not your house. It's great.
I mean, I'll happily do it to my house. But it was great to see the excitement because a lot of these guys, I've always made independent movies that I've
Yeah.
kind of had to control of and run. But a lot of these guys, they've gone out and done bigger stuff, and it's almost like I feel like they had maybe forgotten how fun it could be and how we started and what we would do doing stuff with friends. And I feel like being able to see how excited they were getting about filmmaking. And a lot of people in this town are just they're always it's weird to me because a lot of people are always so burnt out on filmmaking, and it's like we have the best job in the world. You know, you guys should be excited, and it's like it's just kind of these cycles that people get into. So it's nice to be like, this is what filmmaking's about, guys. Like it could be six guys in a room just fucking pumping blood. This is why we got into this, and just seeing the excitement and seeing people fucking riled up, and it's like these are people who are here for free and fucking giving me 16 hours on this thing that they don't even know if it's going to get finished. It's just this thing for 4 years. It's like, oh, you fucking finished your movie yet, Joe? That thing's never getting done. And it's like, and I just have to sit there and be like, well, yeah, you're fucking right, because it's been 4 years. I mean, what am I supposed to say? It's almost done. But then they get to set and it's like, oh, this is the shit that you're doing. Holy fucking shit. And then you show them scenes and they get fucking excited. It's like, check out the opening of this movie. Now we're going to saw this off. They're like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then we do it. And they're like, oh, and you could just hear everybody clapping and fucking cheering. And then they tell more people. And so it's awesome. Like that was honestly one of the coolest things was seeing my friends be like reinvigorated with filmmaking and what filmmaking's about and why we got into this, and really how fun it could be. Because yeah, that's what I always tell my crew. I'm like, guys, we got the best job in the world. Let's fucking have a good time. We're on set making
And
movies.
Joe's an inspiration to a new generation. I want like a new generation of filmmakers to go like if they haven't seen Joe's movie to go back and watch his full filmography because Joe is the perfect example of like you don't need money to be creative. He's so innovative and so inventive. He painted hand art directed every single frame of the movie, like the way David Lynch did that with Eraserhead. Like his apartment, he still lives in it. It still looks like that. Like it's exactly like that, but there's no blank walls. They're like everything is so inventive and so creative that, he's making a movie for $200,000. You'd never know it. I was like, this movie, it looks incredible. It's shot on film. It's totally cinematic. The scares work great. The gore is incredible. Like nothing stops Joe. Like if he doesn't have the money to do it, he doesn't go, well, we couldn't afford that. He's like, no, we got to do it. How am I going to figure it out? And it's amazing. You completely get caught up in the story. The gore is incredible. It's like someone who's truly like when people go, well, I would only do that if I had that money. It's like, no, look what Joe does. That this is going to inspire people to get out there, get a 16 millimeter camera, and just go for it.
Dude, seriously, yeah, you could be like the Kevin Smith of the horror, the new horror generation. And I mean, just closing thoughts. I know we've talked a little longer. Thank you guys so much for talking to us. But I gotta say, I want to just dive in a little bit to the horror section again. Like, how can people get involved, and how and when does the film come out, and all the necessary plugs we need to do because this film is fucking great.
Thank you. Well, this is a total word of mouth movie. And look, we did a great thing where I offered a piece of the company to the public, and we had 2,500 people sign up and join. So if the movie does well, they'll do well, and Joe will do well. Like support the movie, get Joe out of the apartment. Like he'll be able to buy a house.
Yeah, the
And
credit card debt.
then he'll paint that one and destroy it. So I mean, look, this is a pure word of mouth movie. I wanted a movie that was like a discovery and a real insane unrated experience. The whole idea with horror section is if we can take Jimmy and Stiggs, that is this insane over like nuts movie and put it out there. If this thing makes $2 million or $3 million at the box office, it's a huge hit. We're marketing directly to horror fans. I'm not buying ads on, the NBA finals and stuff. Like this is us taking the money and putting it into renting theaters to release it ourselves. So it's a whole new way of doing it. So if this movie works, it opens up the door for other filmmakers to get their movies to me so we can just put them on as many screens as possible. This is not, and again, no shade at the streamers. These are not for streamers. This is
No.
not VOD. This is not day and date. You saw this movie in the theaters. You were there August 15th, and you came out and you absolutely had your mind blown. And you're like, yeah, that is one of the most fun nights I've ever had at the movies. And you tell your friends. I mean, that's the only way this movie's going to work. And it's just going to open up the door for others. And it was definitely Damien and his team at Terrifier that really showed the exhibitors just how mainstream and unrated, over the top, insane horror movie can be.
Fucking horror always stands above everything. Where it's a genre that makes money, it's a genre that's original. We need more fucking support. Thank you for doing this.
No, thank Joe. I mean, look, it's look, I can only make so many movies, but there are other filmmakers out there like Joe, and I want, this is look, I'm friends with, Sean Baker and Ty West and other people that have had their moment where, everyone noticed them, and I feel like Joe is long overdue. Not just overdue, but long. This is his sixth movie. And when you watch it, people are going to go, "Oh yeah, this is like his movie should be in wide theatrical release." And I want people to go back and rediscover his old filmography, but also show that the next 10 Joe movies we make can be like put out on even more screens.
That's amazing, Joe. Yeah, and honestly, I've seen your films in theaters, and it's fucking amazing. And I wouldn't want to change that. I wouldn't want to change that. I can't wait. I'm gonna see this one again. I'm gonna spread the word. And I thank you, Matt Mercer. I actually know Matt because we worked on a film together years and years and years ago, a great one called Airplane versus Volcano. Yeah. We didn't with the plane one. I think I don't remember, but guys, seriously, thank you and congratulations, Joe. This is a marvelous film. You're a really good fucking filmmaker.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
And Eli, you're the best. It's always nice to talk to you, dude.
Thanks, James. Great time. Appreciate the support. Look,
Yeah.
it's all three of us. It's like the distributor, the filmmaker, and the press and the fans supporting it. That's like if we can create this, we don't need the studios. We can be our own ecosystem. That's the goal.
Fucking
Is to
community.
never have anything to do with the studios again. We just make movies with filmmakers directly for the fans. The fans see it in theaters and love it, and we get to do it again. That's what it's all about.
70s. We're gonna do the 70s again.
Yeah,
Right.
Yes,
we
yes, the
can.
best.
We
Guys,
can.
wow. Go ahead. Go ahead. I thought you were saying something. Sorry.
No, I was going to say we can do it if, people come out and support in the theaters. That's only going to create opportunity for everyone else.
I think you're right, and I love the fact that you're opening your doors up to everybody.
Yeah.
There's so many
Eli
fucking.
is the best cheerleader. It's fucking awesome to be on the horror fucking section studios launch pad.
Horror section, check it out. I'm gonna get involved. I think this is amazing. I think what you're doing is amazing, dude. Legit.
Thanks, James. Appreciate it.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo was created by movie fans for movie fans, and we appreciate your support.